My usual every morning ritual, which I actually crave and I'm really excited for. So I do 1 cup of water. And today, is it Sunday morning? Yeah, today's Sunday morning. And we have 1 cup of water on the stove in a regular pot. And then 1 heaping teaspoon of Vastu chai. Maybe a bit more if we're so inclined. Depending how spicy you want it. I like to add a little bit of fresh ginger on top because I think it brings out the flavor of the spices, and fresh ginger is a little bit different than dry ginger, and it adds to the whole process. So add some fresh ginger and let everything come to a boil. And part of the ritual for me is it's definitely, it's like a moving meditation, because I know what I'm putting in my body in the morning and the intention that goes into that when I'm making it. A lot of times actually it does set the tone for the day.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. Just this one process. I like to use whole milk, and this happens to be whole goat milk. And so I do 1 cup of water to half a cup of milk, but it depends. Like my dad will do, he's lactose intolerant, but he still drinks milk in his chai. So it's kind of funny. And he adds more sugar than I do, or more sweetener than I do. And I think it's a generational thing, because my great uncle adds a lot of sweetener. He's probably in his late, actually he turns 90 in June.
Wow.
Yeah, he turns 90 in June. He adds a lot of sugar, more sugar than I do, or more sweetener than I do. And I think it's a generational thing, because my great uncle adds a lot of sweetener. He's probably in his late, actually he turns 90 in June.
Wow.
Yeah, he turns 90 in June. He adds a lot of sugar in his chai.
What does your dad use for sweetener?
He uses sugar.
So brown sugar, white
Brown
sugar.
sugar.
Brown sugar?
Yeah. I'm actually on I went through a good phase of using maple syrup.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm using honey, things that are local to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I'm using. But my dad's still used to doing sugar, so that's what they're used to. And then I think the sweetener brings out the flavor of the spices. For me, that's the purpose of the sweetener. And it's different for everyone. Some people actually prefer without sweetener, so it kind of depends on what you want. You can smell all the tea and the spices. And the quality of the tea makes such a difference. I don't know if I told you this story. So I have a great aunt and great uncle in India, and so my family's not in the tea business, but they drink tea, and we had some leftover organic tea, bulk tea from India, and we sent it to them. Unfortunately, it had to come to Canada, and then we took it back with us when we went, and we gave it to them to try, and my great aunt absolutely fell in love with it. She no longer buys her regular brand of tea. She actually now goes for an organic, organic blend, and she's must be in her 80s now.
Yeah. Wow.
So to see a change in someone of that age was pretty neat. Yeah. And they use the same spice because it's from my family's recipe, so they have the same spice blend.
Yeah.
And they do it a little differently, where they add the spice on top of the tea. So they're happy having the bulk black tea, and then they add the spice on top.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how they do it. And part of it is because spices are harvested at different times throughout the year. And so they try to get the spices as they're harvested, something that we can't do here because they just don't grow here.
Yeah.
So that's what they do. Yeah, it's really
Cool.
interesting. And then you know, they grind it and they do the whole thing and they keep it in their little,
Cool.
in their pantry.
So you just put milk in
I
and
put-
now it's
yeah,
coming
I
to a
put-
boil?
It is. It's very much coming to a boil. So I think part of the process is the boiling of the milk, and I've done it with almond milk, soy milk, cow milk, goat milk. Water buffalo milk is actually what we have in India, and it's so good. And I think it's the boiling up process that blends all the flavors together and makes it creamy and rich, and that's, to me, that's the most important part. I think it comes from a time when we didn't used to pasteurize our milk. So we would get, you get the milk in the morning from the water buffalo, and then it actually sits on the stove all day, or sits on the fire all day, and it just boils once in the morning, and then you just leave it there, and then you use it throughout the day to make chai. So it's boiled anyways, so it doesn't need to, and it doesn't come from very far. It comes from, you know, the water buffalo next door.
Yeah. So you just let it boil for about a minute or two?
Yeah, and then I just turn the heat down, and then I just let it simmer for a few seconds, just to. My mom always says you want to look for a golden color. Like when you get that golden color in the milk, that's when you know your chai is right. And so when you're at train stations in India, you'll see a rich golden color of the chai, and when the chai wallas are airing the chai out or cooling it down, a lot of it's show as well, but it's fun.
Cool.
And then a strainer, essential, for loose tea. And for me, this is why Vastu chai is a loose leaf tea, because it's definitely part of the process. And then you strain it. This is my regular mug from my good friend who's a potter, Julia Schumacher of Rainmaker Pottery. We actually are having an open house soon. Pottery, teapots, and chai. And then you get to enjoy this wonderful cup of chai.